Okay, it is 7 p.m., so we will call the January 29th, 2026 regular village council meeting for Northport to order. Roll call, trustees here attending the meeting in person. We have Harper, Cavendish, Cook, Agar, and Dean, President McCann. For staff, we've got our village manager, clerk, treasurer, and DPW superintendent. Joe is on Zoom. Okay, I see Joe there on Zoom. Thanks, Joe. All right, item 2 is the approval of the agenda, amendments or additions. Any of the such from any council members? Okay, hearing none. Motion to approve the agenda as presented. Any second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of the motion of the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item 3 is the consent agenda. Any items you'd like removed?
I have a question for treasurer.
Sure.
I think it's for Ellen.
Okay.
If we could remove that report.
Sure, let's move that down to ex officio report. So, anything else removed? All right, make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
All right, supported by Hugh. All in favor of the consent agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Brings us down to our first public comment. Members of the public will have up to 5 minutes to address the council. And please state your name and residence for the record. And start with here.
Good evening. My name is Carl Wazinski and I live at 105. Over the years, I have closely followed the issue of governance in our village and have become keenly aware of the ongoing challenges we face. One of the most significant concerns is the difficulty of attracting and retaining quality candidates, both for elected offices, such as president and council, and appointed positions, including planning commission, zoning board of appeals, waterfront, and parks and recreation. The shortage of suitable individuals willing to serve in these roles is a serious issue, and I would like to commend the council for actively discussing the situation and considering possible changes, such as adjusting the number of council seats in the village. The consistent lack of candidates for elected and appointed position poses substantial obstacles to effective governance. Public service demands dedication and often entails considerable commitment and time effort. This challenge is intensified by our village's small and aging population, which currently numbers fewer than 500. This demographic reality further complicates our ability to secure a sufficient pool of qualified and willing for these essential public service roles. Alongside the current proposal to reduce the number of council members from 7 to 3 or 4, not clear, I recommend considering an additional option. If a referendum is needed to be presented, it would be advisable to also include a vote on the potential disincorporation of the village. This would enable the establishment of a charter township government, without township, which includes the village, has a population of approximately 22 residents, incorporating those of the village itself. Transitioning to a charter township, village, and township government would result in the village voter base and volunteer pool that is approximately 3 times larger, thereby providing more individuals available for public service. Collaborative governance would allow the talents and resources of both village and township to be combined for purposes such as zoning, capital improvement, office space, personnel, equipment, and software. Additionally, it would facilitate more focused leadership on major issues and streamline communication through a single website and calendar for meetings, benefiting both village and township property owners. please review Doug Whitney's Future of Governance for those who haven't had an opportunity to read it or refreshing yourself. I encourage the council to move forward with full questions, giving the voters the opportunity to decide which approach may be best for the future governance of our village and township. Thank you for allowing me to share my perspective.
Thanks, Carl. Anyone else for public comments here in person?
Kevin Murphy, 6th Street, Village of Northport, or Wakazu Street, currently above New Bohemian Cafe. I'm the owner of my wife. I'm here tonight just because I saw a couple of people posting the itinerary, the agenda for tonight's meeting, and the 7th Street parcel, the future of it is on there. Without getting into the specifics of that, because that's yet to be discussed at the meeting, I would just like to say kind of my boilerplate issue when anything related to housing comes up on the agenda or in discussion. And that is that I'm a firm believer that this village needs all of the housing, year-round family housing that it can get, and that this village has too much short-term rental stock. That is where we are at this point in our growth as a community, and I know there have been efforts to try to maximize the amount of affordable, particularly workforce family housing available, and there have been some efforts to curb the growth of short-term rentals. So my boilerplate that I always say is that anything that allows for construction or rehabbing or infill of new construction that is designed for being a hotel room in a box, whether that's turning a garage into an Airbnb, whether it's adding a mother-in-law, whether it's a backyard cottage, anything like that, that allows for additional short-term rental lodging space in the village without taking housing stock that could be a family house out of contention, I'm all for, and I think we should encourage any construction of new things like that, whether it's the hotel, whether it's, like I said, backyard ADU, etc. And anything that allows what could be a housing unit to become a short-term rental, I think should be discouraged as much as possible. Any form of infill building, ADUs, things that I've mentioned, whether they are for short-term rental or long-term rental, are great. But anything that allows for what could potentially be a house that could be a rental or a purchase for somebody who actually lives and works in our community to be taken out of housing stock and turned into short-term rental stock should greatly be discouraged. So the specifics of the matter of the 7th Street law, I know have been in discussion and development for many years. As a guy who lives in the community, who has a business in the community, who employs people in the community, anything that this body can do that can result in 7th Street turning into housing for people that live and work in this village, I strongly recommend you guys to do. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Kevin. Anyone else in person? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jamie Stritz. I'm a resident of Village on 5th Street, and I'm an elected member of the Northport School Board and the Leland Township Library Board. And I just wanted to speak generally, much like Kevin, generally in support of more attainable housing in the Village of Northport, because I will tell you that the work I do as an elected official in the school board, in the library board, everything we're talking about in terms of ensuring that we have a healthy, vibrant community rests on this issue. And so thank you for the work you're doing. And trust me when I say that the other governmental bodies that are trying to do good work, it all sort of converges on this issue in some way. So I just wanted to voice that support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in person? Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, Eric Pope, 712 Ransom Street. Mine will be a little more rough. Good evening, Village Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to support and encourage you all to vote yes on the intent to make 7th Street attainable housing. It is simply that your intent that you're voting on tonight. For as long as I've been paying attention, almost all of you on the board has said that affordable housing is our #1 problem facing Northport. As someone who fought so hard to prevent Buster Dane from being developed, I feel an obligation to see to it that Northport acquires and starts to grow in the way of attainable homes for both families and workforce. Yes to affordable housing, no to gaining it at the expense of our historic established parks. Splitting that parcel into a protected 4.7 acre park was a great move. Kudos, awesome. Which leaves that 1.2 acre hardscape. For many, many years, the loudest of our current opposition has had no problem leaving this hardscape an ugly pile of dirt, rubble, and boat and trailer storage. For whom and who took the payments? Now that idea to put a few attractive affordable homes has come up. All of a sudden, the waterfront owners are all up in arms, claiming that they want to park and to let that area naturalize. All the while typing their opinions from somewhere far to the south. Thank you for the tax money, but you're not here filling your gas tank, eating at our restaurants, going to the library, helping our school, and experiencing the true community of Northport. There were absolutely no Save 7th Street signs on 7th Street. One finally did make its way on the lawn through a very sad set of circumstances. All of them, instead, were clustered along the water on South Shore Drive, which tells a story in itself that I do not need to narrate for you. Try as they might to get those signs on local lawns, they failed. The idea or need to return the hardscape back to its original state is nothing more than a ploy to derail the attainable housing attempt there. In Northport, we already have an abundance of outdoor recreational opportunities. Miles and miles and miles of hiking trails, mountain biking trails, a skate park, basketball and baseball amenities, children's playgrounds, etc. I think it's safe to say that we have a ton of natural opportunity in Northport. And as a person on the Parks and Rec Committee, I've seen the scope of what is available for outdoor recreation for our residents. It's astounding. Also, the 7th Street hardscape area being referred to as a wetland is false. Only 6% of the entire 6 acre parcel which near the back is deemed a wetland. The hardscape is build ready and nowhere near any wetlands. And it's totally surrounded by beautiful trees, which will not only enhance the future homes, but will provide a buffer in between the development and the surrounding area. This small development could be done attractively, blending right into the surrounding areas. I think the approval of the $6,000 for the renderings is money well spent. 7th Street should be viewed as a jumping off point popcorn effect for other sites and projects down the road. Spending money like that on renderings of turning the hardscape back into a park or a natural area is ridiculous. Like I said before, you can just close your eyes, imagine trees on the lot, done. $6,000 saved. The arguments the opposition holds on to do not stack up against the counter logic. A few attractive affordable homes would not negatively impact the surrounding area in any way. Quite the contrary, it might be a small but strong example of the direction we need to be heading in. That direction being Northport moving away from being exclusively a resort and retirement community. That's the way it's headed. A playland for the rich and wealthy where the red carpet gets rolled up every winter. We need to create opportunities for families to exist and to support our school and to build greater year-round community. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you all for your continued hard work and taking the time to contemplate and execute the right decisions for the majority of Northporters. I look forward to watching the beginnings of positive housing opportunities develop in Northport, not just with you, but with the township and the private sector as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else here in person? Would anybody in Zoom like to make a public comment? You could unmute yourself.
Alan Dalzell, can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Again,
Good. The new mic is working great for the board, but we can't hear the public comment very well because of the echo in the room. At the township meetings, they bring the public comments up to the microphone so that we can hear them better. And then it seems that all three of them had their comments written down. So it'd be nice if you could get those comments as a public and have them put on your website. Thank you.
thanks, Alan.
You want to test that now?
I think they're working okay. It's just that, we'll give it a try to have it a little more centrally located. But these are working in that.
I didn't notice. You guys have one? So one over here.
No.
No, there's just one bit. Obviously, I don't need one.
Any other public comments? Okay, if there's no other public comment, we'll move on to our correspondence. There was correspondence in the packet from Vicky Slot, Joanne Swanson, and Christy Fisher, all in regards to the 7th Street parcel and the discussion we're gonna have tonight on it.
Can I just make a statement of fact for the record real quick?
Yeah.
Just very quickly, the latest US Census from 2020 gives the population of Leelanau Township 1,552 residents, which under state law does not qualify for a charter township. So
If you add that to the 500, you meet the
now
2,000.
it's including village because the village is in the township. So the total population of the village and township is 1,552 according to the last US Census. And it has to be over 2,000 to qualify for a charter township regardless. That's just the law.
All right, thanks, Will. Did anybody else receive correspondence? Other than what was in the packet?
No, and we should note that the letter from Christy Fisher appears twice. It's the same letter.
Okay. Brings us on to our ex officio reports. First up is Planning Commission.
Yeah, so we actually met last night, and the main discussion, there was a public hearing for a special for STR, and it was actually one that had already come to us, but then they changed their plan, and so they had to present it again. And that was approved because it's compliant. Then there was a lot of discussion about the capital improvement plan because we're working on getting that ready so that that can be brought and presented in its form by April. Was that right?
The target is for planning commission to
Yeah.
approve it in April.
Yes,
It'd be
and then you
here.
would bring it here after. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was just confirming. And then and that was a large portion of the meeting. And then we went through and I have a task calendar of the different aspects that we're going to be trying to work on in planning for the whole year. And I got that flushed out a bit more, and that's what we worked on. The master plan, we are still working on. That is slated for, we're trying to have it totally ready to present by September, but that is in part so that when we are doing the public hearings and all of those aspects, that it's in the summer. So that the public is there for all of those.
Oh, we're good. September.
Like, because, yeah, so having it here done with the public hearings in
Mhm.
September is the goal.
Okay.
So, and there is the draft you were able to look at online in our packets if you would like to.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for Laura regarding Planning Commission? Infrastructure liaison?
Infrastructure, I don't know if Jared has stuff to share or,
I can get into as
I
much.
mean,
as you
some of the
like.
main stuff is the culvert and things like that, which are
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Exactly, yes, and then also 2 water issues that we've been talking about in the Gonaba. Right by Fairham Ponds water leak issue and Fifth Street. Plenty more too as we get into the capital improvement plan. A lot of discussions will open up with that.
All right. Marina?
Bill has a great report in here, but the biggest concern right now is water levels. It's something we won't be able to address till spring, but I think if the lake would freeze over, it might be okay, but other than that, it's gonna be interesting.
Any questions for Marina? NLTUA. No meeting last month, so we'll meet at the end of February to approve the budget for fiscal year. Any questions? Brings us to the added item E, the treasurer. Lori had a question about.
Yeah, it's just my question, and I don't know if it's Ellie or if it's Joni, but my main question is the contributions from private sources. Is that now fireworks and tree, or is it just one or the other, like in the revenues? Because so we budgeted that it would be 18,000. That was like the expectation. And it says that it's 4,420 and 80 cents. So obviously that's what we brought in. But what I wanted to know is that just tree or is it fireworks and tree?
It'll be fireworks entry.
Okay, and so do we need to make a bigger effort to try and fundraise, get more private source donations for that fund? Because like, is that fund helping the fireworks for July of this summer, or is that in the new fiscal year? That's what I wasn't sure.
So that's just showing the contributions for this year.
Yep.
And we have those restricted funds that actually show what we have in our fund balance. So, yes, that's for fundraising. Any fundraising that we've done.
Well, and I just wanted to
less
check.
on the tree this year.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if we need to like make a greater effort or take bigger strides to try and do that, and if we need to try and brainstorm that, because it's obviously a lot less than what we had and are hoping to have that we budgeted. So
The majority of the fireworks comes before the end of our fiscal year, which is June.
Okay.
June 30th. So.
And that will be for the fireworks that are this year. It's not going to be a new budget. Okay, that's what I wasn't sure if it was, which it was falling in. So,
Yeah.
Okay, that was my question. I just wanted to be sure that we weren't, if we need to do more. And then we probably can anyway. I mean, like,
We can always
like,
do
you can
more.
always have more. Like,
Yeah.
that's not going to be a problem. I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
There's $9,000 for the fireworks
Okay, cool.
going into this year. So.
Awesome.
Great. Brings us to our new business. Item A is the resolution 2026-1 NDOT Rose Street Culvert Grant Agreements.
I move we adopt resolution number 2026-1 to approve an agreement with MemDOT and to authorize execution of contract number 255592. Support.
All right, moved by Susan, supported by Will, to approve resolution 2026-1 authorizing execution of NDOT contract number 25-5592 as presented. Discussion?
So this is to repair the culvert.
The Rose Street Culvert,
Yeah,
yes.
right. That's what I thought. Doesn't say that in here, but
And authorization to sign is for both of you.
Yes. And as the manager noted in his report, the costs have gone up a little bit, but there's major street funding cash balance to use for the project, and it's been discussed for multiple years, but that's a necessity to. It's a choke point down there on Rose Street, so doing the work now the expense will only go up the longer we delay.
Yeah, and it's something we definitely need to do too. So my understanding, the total right now that they're projecting is 331,765.
Yes.
And the grant that we got is the 97,482. So it's like 234,283. This room there. Okay. And then there still could be changes based on when they're doing it.
Yeah,
Right,
well,
I mean-
we have to get the bids back, right?
Yeah.
To actually
So-
know that number for
Yeah.
sure, but I'm really glad that we did the construction feasibility review for just this reason. And we have a much better estimate right now, better plan set that includes doing some of the, addressing the water and sewer lines in that section. So I'm glad we did that. I think we.
Because they would have found out anyway. I mean, they just would have.
We would have been doing it one way or the other, so it's better to deal with that now, understand what we're getting into. Make sure the funds are available, and we can proceed with the project as soon as the bids come back along the lines of the estimate.
So this is simply just holding our grant funds while we search for prices.
Well, it's the way I would say it's a contract between the village and MDOT, saying we're gonna receive the funds, and then here's what we're gonna do with the contract. And the village has to enter into that kind of agreement with an MDOT in order to receive the grant. The funds. We've received the grant award, but the second part of that is actually entering into a contract with MDOT stating that the village will do what we said we were gonna grant application.
Okay,
So
I was just reading in the agenda summary, it says it doesn't obligate the village to proceed with construction.
No.
But they're giving us the money first, that's where I'm.
no, it's assuring that the money is going to be there, but that doesn't obligate the village to award a bid and enter into a contract with the contractor to actually do work.
Right. So just holding the money essentially
Yes,
while we.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Oh, got it. Thank you. So. We hold the money. Rather than the state hold the money and then give it to us when we're going to do the job, this will give us the funds.
No, it'll be reimbursed.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there, we won't just get to sit with the money on the table.
That's how it went for the marina renovation project. We spent all the money, they reimbursed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it is holding the funds with the state for the amount granted.
Yeah. It's locking in the grant. The funds are gonna be earmarked and available so that if and when the village enters into an agreement with the contractor, performs the work, we'll be able to submit reimbursement. That's great.
Any other discussion on the resolution? Okay, if there's no other discussion on the resolution that was made by Susan, supported by Will, to adopt resolution 2026-1, authorizing execution of the MDOT contract as presented, do a roll call vote starting with Will.
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
you,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Edwin,
Yes.
and yes. Motion passes. Item B, resolution 2026-2, 7th Street parcel use.
I move we approve resolution number 2026-2 to determine the future use of village-owned parcel at 315 East 7th Street, commonly known as the 7th Street parcel. And do I need to say proposed use 2?
I think that's the most critical element of this resolution.
Proposed use 2. Which is a parcel combo A using 7th Street portion for development at the discretion of the village, and the rest remains in its natural state.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Susan, supported by Laura. Where did you see that description that you just read?
It's a
At the
few
top.
paragraphs down
That's.
after the whereas.
It's not in there, it's.
Oh,
actual-
gotcha. Okay, to adopt the resolution as read by trustee. Discussion?
Talking about this for a long time, and I think we agreed that we would talk about taking a vote, saying that, yes, we are looking at developing that property. It doesn't obligate us to develop that property, but we are spending money and time and thought to develop that property because the village needs that kind of housing.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. And we have been talking about it a long time, and I really wanted to have this vote because I feel like there have been past instances where we have been moving towards a goal, but haven't, the council, whether I was here or not, hasn't necessarily been clear that that's what the goal was, but money was being spent on that thing. And then when the public was more clear on what the goal was, they weren't happy with that goal and the money had already been spent, and then we didn't execute those plans. And for me, this is something that I've been very involved with since I've been on council and planning commission. I've worked months and months on these reports and looked at all of these things backwards and forwards. I personally really have frustration with how the original reverter was done and the process that occurred. The fact that it was brought and acted on right away in 2017 and then 2018, that it was for DPW use and then it changed into other things. That's frustrating to me personally, just because I feel like the public then isn't clear what the goal was or that that was happening until it had already happened. And in the meantime, it's changed some. DPW has taken stuff away from the site and it's used for bark and sand and tires and different boat storage. And that's not attractive either. And I agree with comments that are referring to that. But that being said, we did the property rubric to look at all of the properties we owned so that we can evaluate and see where can we put or help with the attainable housing problem. And that's because it is a crisis. I mean, like it's not sustainable. We don't have enough workforce housing, and just letting the private sector look to deal with that hasn't gotten us there so far. And so for me, I really feel like if we were looking at this and the reverter were still on it, like if the reverter were still there, and so it's not something that we can just develop, I really feel that it still would have been on the property rubric. It still would have been something we looked at. And most likely, the public comments would be the same. There would be people who wanted it to be housing and people who didn't want it to be removed and be housing. And I feel like this is a situation where compromise that everyone else wants to, I feel, also see happen is that the back portion, which is still wetlands and is still intact, is protected, and the front portion we could see about using and pursuing housing. And if that were what I was faced with, I would look to see about getting the reverter removed, right? So I feel like even though I'm really disappointed in the process of how that happened, I still think that if that were something I were to face now, I would want to see about doing that. Because despite all the comments that are for, and again, I mean, those comments still coming together and bringing me to that same place. So I really feel like it is important. We need to pursue housing in every location that we possibly can. Workforce housing, we need to be sure there's deed restrictions so that it stays affordable. We need to be sure that it can't be an STR, right? Like that we have restrictions on it for that. But with those things in mind, I really support looking into it, and the renderings are obviously going to help do that.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, Will?
I just want to say, I don't care if we vote on this tonight or in the spring. One thing from the correspondence we got, there was, some suggestion we table this. I know it's not going to change my vote. I've wanted to do option 2 for about 5 years now. I agree with Laura that the reverter lifted by the DNR was really sketchy back in 2017. I don't know why the DNR did it. I do know why we applied for it. That was, that's water under the bridge now. I fought like hell to keep that. I don't like to call it a wetland because there's some delineated wetland in there, but to me, it's a tree area, it's a forest area. Anyway, what I don't want this council to get accused of is having this vote in the dark of winter, and I know we announced well before Christmas we were going to have a vote tonight. There's been plenty of time for them to circle their wagons. But the people who are against this, I just don't like the accusation that we didn't do this in the light of day. Regardless, if there's a motion to table, I'll support it. I'm not going to make the motion to table, and I will vote in favor of it if we vote tonight. But I honestly don't think that time is of the essence because we haven't seen the renderings, and I think those are only going to push public persuasion more in favor of doing this because I think the renderings are going to come out pretty good. But I don't see the urgency of voting tonight. But if you guys want to, sure. My vote's not going to change. It hasn't changed. My opinion hasn't changed in 5 years. It's not going to change next year. But I want the process to appear transparent and fair. That's all I care about.
So back on what I said. Edwin, okay, Susan. Go ahead.
I just read the rules of procedure today, which say that each member should be able to talk before a member speaks a second time.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
No, go ahead.
I
said most of the things I was thinking.
To Will's question, we have been talking about all this vote does today is say, yes, we are definitely looking at this spot for housing, which we've been doing for months and months and months.
That's true. It doesn't commit us.
It doesn't commit us.
Okay.
All it does is commit us to acknowledging that we're looking at it. And it's, you know, it's something that we didn't really need to do, but Laura suggested it, and why not?
Okay.
Yes, I had a 55-minute meeting with one of the opponents of this Monday in my office. And it boiled down to this person worried about the sewer capacity and the report coming out. And I've been pretty much assured that the sewer capacity is gonna be fine. So I'm not gonna change my vote either.
Did you have something or?
I do, yeah. Well, I want to ask Jared, like, what exactly is the outcome of tonight's vote? Because I don't know, there's a couple ways to interpret it, but just to be like extremely specific. After tonight's vote, if we vote yes, then we are developing housing on this site, or is it development in general, just the acknowledgement that we want to do something with this property instead of leaving it as the, boat storage tires?
I'm listening very intently this evening because I want to understand how the council interprets the words on this page. And really, because words are open to interpretation. And I drafted this, reviewed it with Laura before we put it in the packet, and that's just part of the process. But this is also part of the process. It's just having this deliberation so that you can formalize your position on this particular issue. And so I've constructed the language, and Laura and I worked on that in a way to hopefully do that as clearly as possible. But that's always a challenge. And I would just say, let's look at it very literally.
Yeah.
It says, now, therefore be it resolved that the village council dedicate the 7th Street parcel with the following use, fill in the blank. 1 or 2. Those are the options that were part of the motion for March of 2024. Option one being preserve land in its current state. If we can all understand what that is, basically do nothing. Or option 2, partial combo A, which is what the council has been moving towards, which is this 4.7 designated parkland in the wooded area, and 1.2 that would still be open for development, so be possible. If you approve that partial combo, there are so many variables still ahead. It's really, I think, impossible to say this will be developed like this. Too many unknowns, and that's why we're working through the process with a design firm to look at these concepts, because that's still part of this iterative process that you all go through to look at these concepts, to discuss it, to have more public comment, more input. So in that sense, development is not predetermined, and this resolution would not predetermine that any more than I think the actions that you've already taken today. How's that?
Yeah, it sounds good. I'm just sort of wondering, like, I know it says development, but would restoration of the land be potentially included? Because I know we as a council said we want to look at all of the options, make sure that we have the data to ensure we know what we're talking about. If we voted yes tonight on the partial combo A, are we saying we're not just looking at affordable housing with the renderings? We could look at, I don't know, deviations of that, or even potential options as a park, a boardwalk, whatever it may be.
I think it leaves that all open to interpretation or potential. It just says development. So if we get concepts for housing and the numbers don't come back and they're not going to work, it still means we can move forward with park development. And I will say that the manager and I met with Nate Elkins
Mm-hmm.
Of the firm we're using for the concepts. He met with us last week. He came up here to get eyes on the sites. And I do want to clarify that the $6,000 that the village has agreed to spend is not only for the 7th Street parcel, it also includes the 164 South High Street parcel. There was some, I think, just some, in one of the letters it said that it was only for 7th Street, but it is for both. And he came out to meet us so we could get some feedback from us on what we want to see there. We did, speak with him and did ask him to bring one concept of a park, passive park, to that 7th Street, so that we're not only looking at housing. You know, he'll bring us 3 housing options and then one sort of passive park with parking spots and a bathroom and an ice cream stand. I'm just kidding. But you know, the idea that we wouldn't solely be focused on just the housing. You know, there would be this second option that we could pursue. And that's how I look at it, is it just says development. Whereas proposed use 1, leaving the land in its current state, I don't think anybody in the community wants to see it just sit as it is for a generation. I shouldn't say everybody, but that's my interpretation of the resolutions, is that it allows us to move forward with some type of development. You know, what that end goal is, I think, is still open to, information we're gonna get back. That's, I just, right now, we're in this sort of fact finding, this, gathering as much information as we can to move forward. That's gonna give us the decision that, we can be comfortable with.
I just wanted to say too, that, to me, if people aren't comfortable with the language, like, and some of the public comment, like when I was talking to Jared about, that was really just because that is what I was referencing and what I was going back to in terms of what our previous discussions have been and what we said we were going to be continuing to pursue. But it's not like it has to be this language. And so if we need time to change it or, adjust it, then I'm fine with that too. I'm not doing it now or asking for it now so that it's happening in the dead of winter. It's so that there's clarity, not so that it's being kept from people. And I also think the same thing in terms of what number 2 could be. I feel like it's also not excluding that we incorporate, landscaping or park-like features, even if there is attainable housing, or access to the rest of the lot that is woods. So I'm not set that this has to be the language either, is what I want to say. But I feel that it does represent what we're talking about, which is to look at having development on that front.
Yeah, it just seems like we're formalizing all potential options, because I think some people felt, I don't know, or a little taken aback when we wanted to get the rendering but we weren't looking at other options. So it's kind of like we're saying one thing, doing another. And this is just to show, no, we truly meant that. And we're gonna do our due diligence going forward with all options. So.
Yeah, it's nice to know we're taking baby steps forward instead of sitting on our laurels.
A question, Chris. When are we expecting those renderings?
He had done a little preliminary work in terms of, what he could do from, Google Maps and stuff, but he said he wanted to come out and take a look at it. And I think he said maybe like a month. He was going to try to move some things to work on it, so he could get it back sooner than later. But, end of the month, maybe in March.
Well,
Or not the end of this month, maybe in February.
to clarify the process too, he said he was gonna review with us preliminarily before it's gonna come to a public meeting. And it's not, he's bringing finalized concept to the public meeting. The purpose is to come to the public meeting with concepts that you can see, discuss, get feedback on. There's opportunity for public input. And then he can go and make final revisions.
Yeah, one thing he noted was that, like, rather than doing like 3D concepts for everything he comes up with, that he would bring back, let's say 3 layouts for 7th Street. We like one of those better than the other. Then we would do the 3D renderings for that rather than doing work that isn't gonna.
And is he making these, I shouldn't be asking these questions here perhaps, but is he doing these renderings based on, does he know what these are going to cost to build? And does that jive with the estimates that John Stinson and others have made about?
Point of order, this really doesn't have anything to do with.
Correct.
Right now.
Correct, you're right. Sorry.
What's okay?
Yeah.
No, you're, there's not.
Okay, any other discussion regarding the resolution? Okay, the motion was made by Susan, supported Laura, to adopt resolution 2026-2 to determine the future use of village owned parcel 350 7th Street, commonly known as the 7th Street parcel, with Option 2, proposed use 2, partial condo A using Southern Street portion for development at the discretion of the village and the rest from using specials. Roll call vote starting with Edward,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
you,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Will, yes, and yes. Motion passes. Item C, auditor RFP. There were 3 proposals in the packet. Hope everyone had a chance to review those. The manager gave us a synopsis of them with some cost breakdown.
I do not see in my packet a manager analysis.
It's on page 4 of the manager's administrative report.
Oh, agenda summary. Oh, that's came in 2 hours. So I didn't see it. Sorry.
He had it there, it's just there was. I know, because I saw it.
Did he? Well,
We had 3 firms and part of the request for proposal, which is slightly different than a request for qualification, although there's an overlap between the way the firm will reply to both. But the request for proposal includes a price with the proposal, which is similar to the way that the village engaged UHY last time this came up, and those looking for an auditor. And so those costs that came along with the proposal. So you have 3 different costs, but they also break down those costs in different ways. So it can be difficult sometimes unless you're doing almost a big sheet where you say, total cost per hour. Are you traveling? Are you charging for travel costs and so forth? But instead, you at least get an idea about the order of magnitude of each of these firms, which is actually quite different, ranging from about $12,000 for proposal to $30,000 roughly, in the middle firm being about $20,000. After reviewing them in more detail too, frankly, it's difficult to discern just from the proposal what their reputation and experience has been with various municipalities. All 3 have worked with municipalities in this region. We've talked to some of the municipalities that they've worked with just to check in as a reference. So it's frankly, it's difficult for me to distinguish between them. And if you wanted to do that in more detail, we certainly could ask them to participate a conference call or do some kind of interviews like that. You could also just take action, and that's why it's scheduled this evening for action along with the RFQ for the village attorney. You can take action by motion to direct me to negotiate an agreement with them if you wanted to go to that step, or you could just do more exploratory work and talking to them.
did anybody have any strong feelings about one of the 3? Personally, I mean, the middle of the road seemed attractive to me. There was some, yeah, their Act 65 and Act 51 stuff was a little bit considerably less. It did include flat all-inclusive fees versus hourly, where we did seem to run amok with our last
Yeah, I like that.
auditor, that it was like, here's what it's gonna cost. Like if they run over their allotted time, the way I read that is like, that then gives them more incentive to do the work within the allotted time. The expenses were included. But if we wanna have the manager, was there any, from the reference calls you got with other communities, was there any one that stood out above the other, or?
I think Manor Coast Horizon is, they had a really, I would call it exuberant reference that stood out more than the others.
Which one is this?
Manor Coast Horizon.
The highest, yeah. Wow.
I've seen them in municipal circles throughout the years, and from what I understand, they're quite well regarded. Sometimes you get what you pay for. There's that. I also talked to one of the representatives from Gaybridge and Company this morning. They're out of Kingsley. They work with a number of local firms. And I wouldn't say that just because they have the lowest amount in their proposal, that doesn't necessarily mean that their work quality would be somehow inferior. I also suspect though, with that dollar amount, that there's probably a high likelihood of there being additional costs.
Like UHY.
Well, right,
Yeah,
you know,
we don't want to get that again.
if you remember the proposal from UHY initially, I think that was in 23, was 18,700. So to see now 3 years later, company say that they can do it for 12,000, it's raises a question, I think. But even if they did have to change their agreement and maybe charge a bit more, if you start at 12,000, you know, is it going to go past 20? I don't know.
Did you speak with anyone about Morgan and Associates, anyone who had used them?
We weren't able to do
Okay.
contact anybody with a check on that, I don't think.
No,
So-
I know nothing about auditing, but, I mean, I tend to
Yeah.
lean in your direction to go for the middle people.
Well,
Mr. President, if I may, I would make a motion to authorize the village manager to negotiate a service agreement with Morgan and Associates.
Second,
all right, motion was made by Will, supported by Susan to negotiate a service agreement with Morgan and Associates. Any further discussion?
I don't think so. I think everyone feels kind of burned by UHY, so the all-inclusive fees makes it a simple decision for us.
Yeah, I like that. I like that the expenses are included. Like,
Okay. There's no other discussion. Again, the motion was made by Will, supported by Susan to authorize the village manager to negotiate a service agreement with Morgan and Associates. Roll call vote starting with Will.
Yes.
Laura,
yes,
you,
Yes.
Susan,
yes,
Edwin,
Yes.
and yes. Motion passes. All right, item D, we've got the village attorney RFQ.
I would like to make a motion to table, this item, till the next meeting. I would like more time to do a little background research of my own on these firms. I mean, maybe this is my fault, but, well, it is my fault. I didn't realize this was gonna come to this much of a termination, tonight, so I also want to see, I'm kind of curious to see if our RFQ is gonna light a fire under Ross a little bit, and I want to see if he starts delivering stuff that he promised he would deliver, like this week. That's gonna affect my vote very much on whether we keep Olson, who I've liked, but then gotten very unhappy with over the last year and a half because of the slow response time. So my motion is to table this item until next meeting. I want more time. Can I get support?
yeah.
Motion made by Will, supported by Susan to table the decision on the RFQ for village attorney until a meeting at a later date. Any discussion?
My only question is, how long have we had our village attorney for? Because I know we're supposed to refresh them every 5 years.
It's been about 5.
At least as long as I've been on the council.
Well, yeah.
So. Okay, all in favor of the motion to table the village attorney RFQ to a meeting at a later date, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right,
I just say, didn't Ross get some stuff back to you that is, even what he has?
This
already?
this
Not
week,
enough.
Yeah.
this week,
So-
he
Not enough.
has gotten back to me on the wind turbine issue.
Mhm.
okay, that brings us to our discussion items. First up is the water ordinance amendment, which was was included in the packet, bold-faced, changes were in there. You know, sort of putting the onus on some of the landowners. You know, clearly states what the village is responsible for and not, especially by the ways of extending water lines and stuff like that for developments.
Yeah, I had no trouble with any of that, so to just clarify what was, put it on paper, what just sort of understood.
Yeah, thank you. I put a bullet point summary in there that hopefully, clearly explains these changes, and I think they all make sense. The one that I'm most concerned about is that section responsibility during connection, because the way I interpret it, it's the owner's responsibility, but it just wasn't quite as clear as we would like it to be in describing the owner's responsibility from the main to the building.
I think DPW wise, that's where a lot of the problems have been too.
Interpretation of that. So I think the changes that Jared made, I guess in conjunction with us, that seemed cleared up a little bit.
And this is a discussion item. So if this is the time for any feedback, revised language, it would come back. If you support, then we can move forward with adoption at the next regular meeting.
Yeah, I thought it was all stated pretty clearly. It just clears up, like I said, where the responsibility and the liability lies between the village and the property owners. So I don't really have anything else to add to what we put in there.
I agree. I think that it works. I think we can do it next meeting.
Okay.
Sure. We will bring a rate schedule along with this as well, because it's being removed from the ordinance. So there'll be a resolution to go along with it, adopting a fee schedule.
Like amending the fee schedule we have, or it'll be a separate fee schedule?
Well, right now it's in the ordinance.
Right, correct.
So
It's the C ordinance, right? Or it's just a copy of it from the ordinance.
And I'm not sure if I understand.
I think it's copy and pasted, right? It's in the fee schedule, but it's just copied from the ordinance.
We need to take it out of the ordinance because of the changes, the increase.
Are you saying that the fee schedule is a separate document right now?
Yes.
Right, that mirrors what's in the
Yes.
ordinance. Yes,
Correct.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're taking out of this and just leaving it on the same fee schedule. It has all the other fees too.
Yes.
It's not just water, it has everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amend the ordinance.
Every time we change it, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so we'll have the manager bring the water ordinance amendment back to us at our next meeting for adoption. Next up is the rules of procedure amendment.
I would say we do the same thing. Looks good.
Yeah, I really like the new language on what is a excused absence. So an absence for the public, an excused absence is for cause, including illness, injury, surgery, recovery, bereavement, jury duty, or other compulsory legal processes, military duty, parental leave, et cetera, et cetera. Vacation and routine employment conflicts do not constitute cause. So so Chris is taking a vacation and he'll miss one, but these procedures specify that three absences without cause can warrant a, what's it called?
Censure.
Censure, and that 3 more absences can qualify a person for removal.
It's a request for removal. I'd like to clarify that.
Oh, okay.
You don't have the authority to
Oh.
remove,
Oh.
but you could request.
Oh, I see. So you have no authority to remove.
You're elected.
Elected official.
Only by
Yeah, they recall.
recall.
Oh, that's a long, expensive process.
And let's see.
So yeah, I think I'm ready to vote on this next time.
Well, I think it's good to have it defined instead of having it be open as it's been.
Recall that the draft that we had previously at the regular meeting. It's in that folder if you want to reference it in Dropbox. That was tabled.
Mhm.
And I just added one section there, which I would bring back to, when it was on schedule for action to, clarify that a council member can request an item on an agenda for regular and work session, which was, it just said regular as it is currently adopted.
What's the penalty for an unexcused absence? We don't get paid?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, you don't get censured or anything for going on vacation.
Or just one.
Yeah.
Now, if it was three.
Well, yeah. Well, we talk.
Does it?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
So am I hearing support
Yes.
for including the criteria for excused absences that I drafted in?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, village council reduction in number of trustees. See, this was something that was, was on the list of things that came out of our, retreat, got a couple votes, and obviously with the last election having one person on the ballot. And as some of the public comment tonight highlighted, the reduction in the people that are willing to serve, it's something that I think we should look at. It seems like the way the general law Village Act states is that it would be in the upcoming next election, 2026, only 2 seats would be available. So then we would be reduced to 5 council members and a president, so 6. And then in the 2028 election, 2 seats that would then get us down to our 4 trustees and 1 president, 5.
Exactly.
Okay, rather than it's 2 this time and none next time, it sort of evens out the.
Can I point out a couple things in this?
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know if I'm gonna run again or not. I'm leaning towards not. But you're gonna hog tie the next council with a 3-to-3 possible split votes. Michigan law says the president cannot be the tiebreaker. So you're gonna have, I mean, the motions just fail if it's a tie. Which is, it's not the most comfortable thing. I also, hearing public comment and what people are talking about, I expect the next census, if we ever have one, to show that Leelanau Township will get over 2,000 year-round for legal residents. And I think at that point, people are going to be talking about a charter township. And it doesn't make sense now at all. I've looked at it inside out and upside down. It's a terrible way to go right now. But if we get over 2,000 people where we could do a charter, I think there's going to be a really good case for doing it. And at that point, we could have a 7-member board that 3 of them don't work for the township and therefore don't have a clouded interest. And we could, at that point, consolidate big time. But I think in the meantime, I kind of think this is, if people want to do it, I'm fine. Cool, but on this, I just don't see the point. I really. And a lot of people are gonna talk about tradition. There's always been 7 council members. Why do you want to change everything? I don't know. I also like that when we have 7 members, you get a pretty diverse, board. And the only person we appointed last time was Joe, I think. And I, for one, like our new member and his viewpoints that. I think diversity on the board is good, and more voices are better, even though it makes the meetings longer, especially in my case. But yeah, I'm not wild about this.
Neither am I.
No.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have more interest in running for council seats in the near future.
Private school.
Yeah, I don't want to go.
Yeah, I am not against it. Like, I definitely think that there has been a struggle to get people to run. And I know there are elections that it's not, but then there are elections that are. It's the same with the planning commission. We really struggled to get, all of the seats. But I do agree that diverse voices are really, really important, for making our decisions. So, I mean, if everybody else doesn't think we should do it, but to me, I think it is something to consider because it has been a challenge.
I think tonight's put the exact on the first. We'll talk about it.
All right.
Well, apparently, two of us wrote this down on the board at the retreat. But it was you?
I'll own up to it. I got 2 votes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I put both of them on the site. So, Carl, I was right there with you on the public comment. I think that there's gonna continue to be challenges to fill council seats. And we'll see in similar size municipalities. It is rare to have a 7-member elected body. I understand you make some really good points about it. And I'm not suggesting that.
I think the future is disincorporation, in consolidation, but we can't do it now. There's no way I would give up this board's power to that board. If you've done one of their meetings, forget it. Sorry.
So this is a discussion item. Yeah, just like I said with the last time.
We discussed it.
And I don't vote on words.
You know?
This isn't my decision. But I think it's important to consider and to talk about.
But you can look at us and say, I told you so, I suppose.
Well, maybe.
We're having the discussion. We can see how future elections go forward and what happens with the election.
Yeah.
I just take action at a later time.
It ain't broke.
If nothing else, you know that this is part of the general law village act.
Yeah.
Yes, this is within your discretion to do through ordinance.
Okay, no other discussion on that. We'll move to item D, which is the Jerry Spears slip agreement. As outlined in the agenda summary from the manager, we approved an agreement to take to Mr. Spears, and he did not agree with that agreement, citing that the slip fee was that the former manager had agreed to a lower value of $10,000 for the slip.
Well, for all the years.
Yes, yeah, for the 4 years that had not been paid. So it amounted to a difference of about $6,000 from what Mr. Spears feels he's owed to what the village was willing to authorize, and around 32,000 and change.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I'd even like to point out that the first year reduction to 10,000 was never approved by this board. That was a unilateral decision made by the harbor master. I don't think without proper authority to do so. But that's water to the
correction.
bridge.
That was part of the documentation we went through.
I didn't
It was
see
the
that.
marina committee. Correct.
Well, waterfront committee can't make financial decisions.
I
It's
just
not
not
binding.
it was not the harbor.
I was on the waterfront committee and I don't remember that. And I wouldn't have been able to vote on it anyway because I got the same discount, not the same discount, it's less. But I was like, oh, okay. But I don't remember that ever being part of it. That's water under the bridge, but the rest of it, Mr. Spears and his associate representative came to this council and offered double the slip fee for a private slip for his commercial slip. That was his offer to us. We accepted. Now he wants a discount based on a verbal communication he had with a past employee of the village. Well, no, that's not legal and that's not what he offered us and that's not what we agreed to. So my direction on this would be to offer him the amount, the $6,000, including an accord and satisfaction endorsement to the check that says by endorsing this check, payee accepts it as full payment of all obligations and all amounts owed. And that I also further would, when we take this up again next month, say that if this financial disagreement is not settled by the time commercial slip contracts go out, we are under no obligation to offer a new commercial contract to someone who we have a financial dispute with. And we are well within our legal and, I think, obligation financially to do that. I don't, just like, would we offer a new contract with YFP, UFP, the UHY? I mean, no, we certainly wouldn't. And if we're having this much trouble settling this after all these years, why would we offer a new contract to somebody that's going to be this much of a problem? So my communication from this board to Mr. Spears would be, and I do not speak for the board, exactly what I said. Take it or leave it. Basically, sign it with an accord and satisfaction stipulation. And if it's not settled, if he decides he might get a lawyer or something, fine. He wants to litigate, fine. While we're in litigation with this guy, no contract. I mean, we shouldn't enter into a commercial contract with someone that is either threatening or in litigation with the village. It's just totally irresponsible fiscally. So that's what I would like support from the board on that message that Jared can convey to Mr. Spears.
I think that give us more leverage too.
Yeah,
He doesn't have, he's got nothing. I mean, we're being generous to pay him what we're paying him based on his paper trail that does not exist.
Or you want to say something?
I think that I definitely support having Jared talk to him more, because I agree. I don't think that we should enter into something new if we're still arguing about all the stuff that should have already been resolved and just wasn't.
I'd like to comment. I think we should take the action of, assuming innocence, until proven guilty. And the way to solve this is to look at the waterfront committee's motion, and did it explicitly say double the non-commercial price, or does it say $10,000? And if there's any other motion where the rate is increased, then we could say, yeah, he owes us more. But if it says $10,000, not double the rate, we have to assume.
I think facts have been established on this. I was in the meeting. So yeah, they came to us offering double.
But it's what's written down and what was approved.
It's in the minutes. It's got to be in the minutes.
I think when they
Approved by the council or by the.
It wasn't by council, it's waterfront, which they can't.
By the
approve
committee.
Financial to, yeah,
It
and
was-
waterfront
then it
committee
meant-
can't.
it went to-
What were we saying?
Waterfront can't approve, like a committee doesn't have a quorum, so they can't approve financial decisions. They can make recommendations to the council. The council didn't approve that. And they did pull what that said. I don't remember if it had the number, if it said double. I think it's a number though. I think it says both. I think it says double and then in parentheses it says the number. But I mean,
So it was approved by the waterfront committee, sent to council, then denied. Is that? correct?
council didn't take action at all.
Never went to the council.
It just was in the waterfront committee, discussed, and then didn't go further than that.
I think in the information that the staff provided us a couple meetings ago, there was the committee's initial reduced rate for the first year, and then there was subsequent documentation that did state that the second year would be at the full rate.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
And that's, I mean, and I'm sure that's in the past somewhere. I can't go back and look for it right now, but I think it was established that both commercial slips would pay a non-reduced rate, let's just say.
Okay.
For that year. And then, part of the issue here is, I mean, so to my knowledge, most people have to sign a slip agreement with the village in Northport to have their slip for the season. Mr. Spears has not signed a slip agreement for the previous school year. Correct? Is that correct? Can you say
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Yeah. So. Things need to be tightened up.
I support Will's suggestion.
So the action that would come back along the lines of what we'll suggest here, what I've proposed, I think we're on the same page there, is to authorize the payment, to settle it.
I think we need to vote on that tonight. I think the amount, the 32,000 and change, whatever it is, I think we should approve that amount, that check to be written to Mr. Spears, which is, and he's asking 38, but we will approve that amount with an accord and satisfaction clause attached to it. And if you need to know how to do that, I can show you, but, it's basically that means if he cashes the check, he can't come back asking for more. So I think we should approve that amount tonight. And basically, if that doesn't work, that the next step is up to him. And we'll deal with it later if we have to. Hopefully, we won't have to.
Are you making a motion?
I guess I could, yes. I will make a motion that the board authorizes the village manager to pay Mr. Spears in the amount of roughly $32,000, the amount we talked about before, with an accord and satisfaction clause attached.
I'll support that.
Motion made by Will, supported by Hugh, to authorize the village manager to pay Mr. Spears an amount of not to exceed $33,000
Sure.
with what would you call it?
With an accord and satisfaction clause attached.
Accord and satisfaction.
And if you want me to read that into the record, I can. By endorsing this check, payee accepts it as full payment of all obligations and amounts owed.
Any discussion about that?
My only concern is I don't think he's gonna cash it.
I don't care.
And then I don't know, I feel like if we, amend it so we pay at least what we know for sure, what we owe him, and then this can just be a separate issue on its own. Might be, I don't know,
Let's call a vote.
a way to minimize the issue.
I disagree. Let's call a vote.
Any other discussion?
I just want to clarify, like, looking in that document,
Oh.
it did say the 10,000, then it said that it would be double the rate after, and if you look at the documentation that you guys pulled that's from 2022, there it also has dollar amounts and it's $11,280. So.
When it went in, but it goes up.
Right,
It goes up every year.
but that's what I'm saying is that already in 2022,
I know.
this says that he was told it was the 11,280, right? Like, and this is water. Correct, but he didn't sign a contract. I'm just saying the dollar amounts.
Right,
were there.
yeah.
It's not just saying double.
Any other discussion?
So is the amount that we're paying, is that including that rate or is it at 10,000 a year?
No, it's just the first year's 10,000, the rest is double the
Okay.
personal
All
slip.
right, fair.
fee.
All right.
Yep, yes, it would be the
For that length of
market
boat.
rate for the slip for the 4 years that have gone over.
Okay.
Okay, again, motion made by Will, supported by Hugh to pay Mr. Spears in the amount of not to exceed $33,000 with an accord and satisfaction clause. Roll call vote starting with Will.
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes,
Susan,
Yes.
Edwin,
Yes.
and yes. All right, motion passes. Okay, that brings us to our second public comments. Again, members of the public will have up to 5 minutes to address the council. And please state your name and residence for the record. Anybody in person or well, in person first, and we'll go to Zoom after that. Go ahead. Yeah.
Kevin Murphy again. These are actually just two questions about things that you guys discussed tonight. So I guess questions for council / staff. The first is what you guys voted upon tonight about the option 2A mixed use for the 7th Street thing. There was a couple of items that were mentioned in there. And I'm doing this from memory, but I think it was 1.2 acres is, would be the potentially to be developed, and then 4.7 acres or 4.3 or whatever was the part that would be left, I don't remember the terminology, natural, untouched, undeveloped, etc. I guess what I'm wondering, because it really makes confusion over some of the terminology of wetland versus wooded area versus forest versus, natural area. Is there the possibility, as you guys discussed, that potentially this development could be that it would be made into a park? Are those numbers of the 1.2 and the 4.7, are those now kind of like written in stone based on the way that you guys voted on this? Is there room for that split of the what portion would potentially be developed and what portion is left alone? And then I guess second and related to that is the area that's quote left alone. If there was park development of any kind happen, could that go into the quote, left alone part, whether that was trails, signage, markers, et cetera. So I guess the related question is, are the 1.2 acres / 4.7, are those now like firm numbers, or is there some potential green or, gray area between the green area and the gray area? So I guess you guys get what I'm asking.
I can address it in council comment if that works.
Okay.
Any other public comment?
Fred Steffens.
Oh, go ahead, Brett.
Good evening. I came into the meeting late. And I just got into the discussion with Jerry Spears. What was the payment of 32,000 for?
For work rendered to the village over a number of years.
Okay. Well, that's just another example. And I had experienced that when I was village president over building the 4th Street ditch, and we didn't get a bill until I became president 2 years after the fact. And I guess the only comment I have is I don't know when you people are going to learn to not do business with Jerry, because it's just not, in my opinion, ethical. So it's been an issue for a number of cases. So I think we've learned but yet one another lesson. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Here, could you ever hand?
Yeah, Eric again. Good meeting tonight. Thank you all for your hard work. I was happy to hear the resolution vote on 7th Street, although I'm a bit confused about it, and that's likely on my part for sure. On the two, first I want to say, based on Will's comments, I don't think we're doing anything in the dark, as they're all gone, and you guys were referring to the snowbirds. They were all here just 6 months ago, flying their signs all down South Shore. They were getting into this room, and a lot of them are on Zoom. So I don't think anything has been done in the dark. This has been all out in the open, on public, all over the internet for quite some time. There's been, articles about it in the newspapers. I was under the impression, as well as I think some of the people, that tonight was about voting on the intent, the use of 7th Street location. And being that the majority of you save, I think, Edwin and Hugh, but I think I've heard every single other person say that the number one detrimental, horriblest thing facing North right now is affordable housing. So I hope that, and I also got kind of concerned tonight because I heard the terms from Edwin and from Chris tonight. Like, well, this just opens it up, for future development, whether that could be a park or housing, or is that where we're still at? It's like, it's trying to think about what we're doing with it. I thought we already did that by splitting it. And so I'm a little bit confused about what the actual vote was tonight. But I think it was a win. So that's what I got for you. Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Public comment? Joanne?
Good evening, everyone. I am going to be sure to tell Mary Cermak that you have requested a rendering of what this area would look like if it was naturalized, because she made that request a couple of months ago at a meeting, and it was derisively responded to by someone who made a public comment saying, oh, we don't need to know what that looks like. All you have to do is close your eyes, which I think, was a bit insulting. So I appreciate the fact that you are thinking for yourselves and that you have made that request. Thank you.
Thank you. Kay, did you have your hand up?
Unmute yourself.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, thanks. Hi, Kay Penzine, 105 West 3rd Street. I just have a quick question about the renderings. So are you scheduled to pay this person for their renderings? Oop, did you hear my question?
Yeah.
Just as a point of order, we don't answer questions during public comment. You can comment, but.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm sorry.
Trustees can answer.
Well, okay, so let me reframe it. It surprises me that you would make a decision before you even saw some renderings, especially if you were paying for them. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comments? Can unmute yourself or raise your hand. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to council comments. So first, to answer the questions from Kevin, the 1.2 acres and the 4.7 acres were voted on 2 months ago to split those. Could the 4.7 incorporate some park development? It was dedicated as parkland, so I certainly see that could happen. I think that would enhance whatever happens on the 1.2 acres if it becomes out, which is my intent. But I think that, working down these paths on a linear path, as you said, the rendering for the park is going to be, pretty easy to come by. The housing is I think, where we're really going to see the work, which we have agreed to pay $6,000 for renderings on 7th Street and 164 South High Street, which are the two platted lots just north of the Dandelion Children's Center. So it was $6,000 divided by 2. So, but that's my public council comment. That
Yeah. Okay, first, to Eric, as long as I'm on this council, we are moving toward developing 7th Street with housing. Hopefully housing that is more affordable than less affordable. I mean, there have been numbers kicked around that seem very high to me, but we're talking to those people. So as far as I'm concerned, we're moving in that direction. Secondly, before we go on, I want to pay tribute to Kent Holton, who I understand is leaving the DPW, which makes me sad. He's been a wonderful, wonderful human being as well as a wonderful village employee. So please pass that on to honor him.
Yes, agreed.
Any other council comment?
Yeah, Chris, can I just say a couple of things?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, everybody, just a couple of points very quickly with respect to those matters which were voted on at the meeting regarding Rose Street, the 7th Street, Jerry Spears. I would have voted all in favor of those as well. With the others, this Jerry situation is obviously very complex. I agree almost entirely with everything that Will said. And I think we've got to reconcile the mistakes of the past, compartmentalize them, which is, I think, what Edwin was trying to say, and then move forward on whatever market is. So we're getting so wrapped around the axle of the past versus what's going on in the future. If we could break those apart and figure out a way to make a clean break and then move forward for whatever market is for Jerry's slip, then that would be my recommendation about how to move forward. And then on the selection of outside counsel, Jared and I had a great, very long conversation just a few days ago about everything on the agenda. And in particular, these 3 firms that were under consideration. I have read all of their responses in great detail. And as I've mentioned in the past, right, I've been doing this for 35 years and think I have a lot to add with respect to this process, with all deference to Jared and the council as well. But I just want the council and Jared to know that I am standing by, ready, willing, and able to assist in any way possible with respect to fine tuning or figuring out how we get these down to the funnel to find the right firm that's best for the village. That's all I have to say.
Hey, Joe, I got a question for you.
Sure.
We moved the microphone closer to the public. Could you hear the public comments in the room any clearer after we did that?
I would grade the audio probably a B+. It appeared to me that it's Chris's, there's just that one mic in the middle, right? And it must be a proximity issue because are there multiple mics?
There's 3 now.
Okay. You should, whoever's in charge of AV, they should probably do some testing because it was really Chris's was the most difficult to understand and Laura was second. So I don't know why that is, but Will and Edwin were very easy to hear, but the center of the table seemed to be almost fuzzy, I think, a little bit, almost like staticky. So again, I'm not an AV guy. I'm just trying to tell you what I heard.
I will move to adjourn.
All right.
Just really quickly before we wrap up. Sorry. It's like 30 seconds, just real quick about the work session next week. I've got a couple agenda items that are kind of lingering and floating out there. I think they can wait until regular meeting on the 19th of February. I emailed about this earlier in the week and I just want to say it while we're all here publicly, and I know Joe has checked with it. I think we can push those off. We got some estimates back for the work that we're planning on for the arena, but I don't think a few weeks is going to make a difference in that. In fact, I've been talking to Kevin about a lot line issue over at New Bohemian. There's a couple things like that that are just kind of floating out there. I think we're okay pushing those back for a few weeks. I just want to run that by everybody.
That would be great because the weather is I thought I was super clear when Chris or Jared and I were emailing, and I thought it had already been canceled, and then I made a business commitment because I thought we were free. So if you have the meeting, I apologize, but I thought it was canceled, and I made a conflicting book.
We should have a busy agenda on the 19th, though.
Yeah.
So be prepared for that.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
We're behind 1-0.
Anyway, doesn't that watch? Hey, did you get my text about